The Drifter is a very mysterious character. In the Drifter's Gambit lorebook, Shin Malphur observes the Drifter from a distance and even has various conversations with him, learning about his past motives and what he's trying to do moving forward. At first, it seems a little crazy. The Drifter explains that he's salvaged tons of artifacts and treasures from around the system, and he's also been to places that no one has dared to set foot in. Shin quickly learns that this man is actually very smart. While us Guardians have been going around bashing in the skulls of the Taken, the Drifter's been playing Warlock, studying and experimenting the mysteries within this system. Today we are going to dive a bit more into his backstory, his massive asteroid hauling ship, where he's been, and much more.
I think you're ready. I've counted you one of my crew for a while now. We've never been on a job together, but you've done more than your fair share. And now you've mastered the frontier. Everyone who gets as good as you, my crew asks them to pick a name. And you should pick yours soon. Dredgen.
So in my personal opinion, Forsaken has introduced new lore into the game that makes you want to learn more. With Warmind and Curse of Osiris, yes, they introduced new lore, but with Forsaken it added things like the Aphelion, Jir-Aido, all the Reef craziness, and also reignited Shin Malphur's story and added the Drifter on top of it for a little extra spice. So for me, these characters feel like they connect with the player in various ways and also allow you to tell the story you want. So say you want to be the bad guy, you can wear that Dredgen title and use the Malfeasance. Or do you want to be a protector of the light? You can say you'd partner with Shin Malphur himself and go and hunt down those shadows. But wherever this story leads, whatever direction Bungie decides to take it, it will most definitely be a showdown for the ages. Today we're going to discuss more about the elusive Drifter and some of the secrets he's been hiding. Let's first begin with his ship. The Drifter's ship is known as an artifact, or the Derelict. This is something he explains to Shin in the same lore book from earlier where they have a confrontation. So long ago, the Drifter was risen not long after the collapse and he wanted to get off-world to explore. After he got his bearings, figured a couple of things out, he went out and ventured to these mysterious places we'll discuss in a bit and eventually built his ship. Here's what Shin has to say about the Drifter's stuff. If they're for show, they put on a great one, but to what end? The clutter of oddities he's got shipside ain't nothing compared to what he's hauling, that big black mass of nothing you ain't never seen before. He calls it an artifact, but it's more than that, just don't know what exactly. He said he got far out as he's ever been, said it was a place cold enough to snuff out your light. I asked him, was it Vex? Hive? KG is all, he said no, it was just other and it was powerful. Maybe. So as for this derelict or artifact, what exactly is it? Well, first, if you play Gambit, you actually board the Drifter's ship if you weren't aware. Now this is pretty obvious, but some people may have brushed right over this and not even realize this is where they were in the first place. So a couple of things to note. In the starting area you can look below and you can see the skybox of the map you're about to play on, so that's definitely a little nice touch there by Bungie. They didn't have to put anything there, but you can look down and see, oh, I'm going to, Legion's Folly on Nessus, or I'm going to the Reef. Also in this room you can see the hangar doors opening, but there are various tubes and creature looking things that surround the area, like behind the Drifter himself.
We've got Cabal on the field. Be brave, be notorious. Cabal weaponry didn't used to be all bluster and noise. Red Legion changed that.
One theory suggests that this ship is where the Drifter stores his primevals for Gambit. Now in the lore, Shin also states that the primevals are different compared to regular Taken bosses, and here's how he described it. Tearing soldiers of the deep from another realm is crossing a bridge too far as is, but those beasts? Those weren't normal Taken possessed and set to rage. They were born to that shadow realm and they were angry. Worse, they were hungry for light. You could feel it, even a ways off. Their aura and their rage weighed on me, cast a shadow I could feel in my core. So the Drifter has his own pocket dimension where he stores these primevals, and it's controlled or basically fueled by these motes of darkness that we bank in Gambit. Now I think it's actually pretty funny that right when Gambit was announced, I actually made a theory video suggesting that that's what those were, motes of darkness, as they were triangular shaped, much like the ships we see towards the end of the campaign. And as it turns out, that is the case. These motes of darkness are fueling the Drifter's game of Gambit. So this is what we assume is aboard this icy chunk of rock he most likely stole from the planet where he encountered the darkness. Now that's obviously speculation there, but you can definitely expect we'll learn more in the Joker's Wild DLC, as Bungie said this a while back.
So with Joker's Wild, there's this really interesting character named the Drifter, and there's all of this backstory. But you'll begin to get a glimpse of that in Forsaken, and Joker's Wild is our chance to go deeper. And what is his greater purpose, and what is inside that crazy rock he's got attached to his ship?
So random theories at this point could be something with the darkness with that icy planet, or he could have brought a chunk of that planet back and housed his pocket dimension for the primevals on it. Who knows? In this next little paragraph here, we learn more about the Drifter's sort of maintenance for his ship, the Derelict, and it sort of just provides some overall information, so let's take a look at that. It says Emerald Coast, European Dead Zone. Guardian jump ships roared away overhead. The Drifter walked along the shoreline past the wreckage of the Cabal's shields and armor. The lights of the tower had taken very well to this little game. He gripped a massive hand cannon in his fist, and his ghost buzzed around his head like a carrion fly. Its light was as red as a Vex eye. Drifter scanned the battlefield as he walked, making note of the weapons and scrap he would have the Derelict's AI transmat to the hangar. The beach was littered with burning Cabal tech. Drifter would find a use for all of it. Routine maintenance for the Derelict, additional banks. So like I said, not much, but we get a little bit more insight into what the Drifter does in these arenas. Enemies are out there fighting, but when this is all over, he goes out, picks up the scraps, and uses what he can for his own advantage. As mentioned earlier, this man that runs Gambit has been all over the system, and he's even acquired some of his little trinkets along the way. Besides the icy rock and monolith encounters with the darkness, here's where he's been. He says he's seen the deep side of Jupiter, been to the core mines of Saturn. Name drops myths no one's heard: the Luvial Crux, the shift chasms below Ilios, the fourth tomb of Nezarec. Goes on about the idols of Lower Sol, the treasure of Exodus Prime, the solar engine of Dead Star 6. I think he's making most of it up, but he's got relics and etchings. He's got materials not of this system: odd metals, obsidian flames, thought engines, edible nut cakes, and a stuffed something that looks like a rabbit biofused with a cephalopod. He keeps all of this stuff to himself, his gets, he calls them. So most of the locations I just read we've never heard of, which makes the Drifter that much more interesting, but I couldn't help but notice one in particular. So last year we were introduced to the term and character Nezarec. Next to that, it seems that one of the locations the Drifter has been to is in fact the fourth tomb of Nezarec. Now this video isn't going to be too much about who Nezarec may be or what it is, but this is a pretty crazy find. The flavor text for Nezarec's sin read this: "He is that which is an end, and he shall rise again." Passage from Of Hated Nezarec, a pre-Golden Age text. So whatever Nezarec is, it seems he was known about before the Golden Age, as the text was created then. He's known as the final god of pain, the purest light, and the darkest hour. Now it's been theorized that Nezarec is a bunch of things. He could be the leader of the darkness, or that he's above both light and dark, just waiting there in the void. Whatever it is though, the fact that the Drifter found one of his tombs out there in the Jovians is pretty crazy, and this happened to be the fourth tomb, suggesting that this character or being has died many times. But with all these new locations, it definitely sounds fun to explore, right? It might not or probably won't happen, but mystical places in space and in science fantasy games always sound so inviting. The Luvial Crux, the shift chasms below Ilios, the solar engine of Dead Star 6. Definitely give me a ticket, because I want to figure out where those places are and what the heck's going on there. But before I go, Guardians, I had another little announcement. So many of you know I'm working on my own game. It's a third-person zombie campaign shooter, kind of like The Last of Us, but of course not that AAA. And this is the first game I'm creating. It's super exciting, should release sometime this year, and I'm still looking for voice actors for multiple parts. So the link to the full list can be found down below. If you're interested, you can read some of these lines and email them to me at evadeofficial@yahoo.com. These parts are paid, but don't expect too much because, you know, it's our first game, we're just starting out, have a pretty low budget, and just trying to have some fun with it. So if you are interested, link is down below. I update the page often, so parts will be removed and added if needed, and I thank you very much for that. Anyway, Guardians, I hope you enjoyed today's video on a drifter and his ship, and it definitely makes you wonder more about who Nezarec truly is and when we might see it. If you have any theories, definitely be sure to leave them down below and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Anyway, my name's Evade and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.